Hey guys, it's me, Halloween Dan, doing a very different video today because today I wanted to talk about something I'm planning to make for Halloween 2023. Or really, it's just kind of an ongoing project. I've been thinking about this for some time now. I've been inspired to do this by a million different people on YouTube and on all kinds of other social media platforms who I've seen do similar things. But then I wanted to add something else to it to kind of make it a bit more special. I have no idea exactly where in my haunt I will put this, but I just really like the idea of it. And so I'm going to create something kind of technical, or sort of technical. Something I've never done before, but I thought this could possibly be something I could do. So the thing I'm going to attempt to make, and it's going to be, this is the very first initial stage of this is not the finished look, is what they call a Pepper's Ghost effect. So let's just get into this. So if you are interested in haunted houses and haunts and all those different things, you've probably heard the term Pepper's Ghost, or at least have a vague idea of what a Pepper's Ghost is. If you've never heard the term, I'm just going to give a very brief description. A Pepper's Ghost is basically where you create the illusion, an optical illusion of a ghost. It can be in any space, it can be in a big room, a small room, it just depends on the scale that you want to play at. But the basis of a Pepper's Ghost is basically a piece of glass or a piece of plastic held at a 45-degree angle to the viewer, and then either concealed, say below a floor or in another room at the same 45-degree angle, you would have some form of a ghostly image, or just not even a ghostly image, a mannequin, a person, somebody moving. And what it does to the person viewing the 45-degree angle of plastic or glass is create this kind of strange optical illusion where they can see a figure moving, but the figure appears transparent, and it gives this ghostly effect, which was always referred to as Pepper's Ghost. The most famous version of this, I think, is probably the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland in California, where the original ride, basically you, the rider, are on a track running above what you see as a ballroom scene, and in there, looking down upon this ballroom, you see people dancing and people moving around, but they appear transparent and ghostly. But what's really happening is that a floor below you, beneath where the tracks run, are a whole host of mannequins and animatronics that are all working away, and you are seeing only their reflection in this 45-degree piece of glass that's being held at an angle across the room. So you can see all the furniture through the glass, and then you get this reflective image of the ghosts or the mannequins and animatronics through this piece of glass. And it's a really, really cool effect. It's an effect that I have wanted to work somehow into my haunt for many years and not really been able to do, not really been sure how to do. And I realised that if I was ever going to do it, I had to do it on a slightly smaller scale. And then recently, you may have seen some of the videos I've done about Alton Towers, one of my favourite places in the world to visit, and how there was always, in the walk, as you walked into the haunted house at Alton Towers, there was a little doll's house with a little girl walking between the rooms. And when I was a kid, I was mesmerised by this. I could never figure out how it was being done. And it's only in recent years that I realised that this is the Pepper's Ghost effect. It might not be exactly a true Pepper's Ghost, but it is that same effect of a piece of plastic or glass being held at an angle to the audience and a small projected scene being projected upon that piece of plastic to give this translucent effect. And this is what I thought would be a really good thing to try. So this is my daughter Ella's doll's house. We've had it now for about 4 or 5 years, and it's somewhat worse for wear. It has seen better days, it's been drawn on, there's generally a right collection of rubbish inside, which needs to be cleared out. And it was getting to the point she doesn't play with it anymore, where we were thinking of really getting rid of it, giving it away. But then last year I saw loads and loads of people turning their disused dolls' houses into really cool and creepy little haunted houses, which I thought would be a really cool project for me and the kids to do anyway, just as a general thing to do. You know, there's so much that can be done with this. There's an attic space, there's lots of different rooms, we can repaint the furniture. I thought it might be fun as well to give every room a slightly different theme. Maybe one room could be for witches, the attic could be for ghosts. There's a million different things we could do, and when I told Ella about it, she was quite excited. So, going off what a lot of people have done, the idea would be painted all black, maybe give it a slightly different coloured roof, possibly purple, and then dress the insides to make it look like a little haunted house. But that's when I started to think about this Pepper's Ghost idea, and if I could use this very simple effect in this doll's house, and then either use it within my haunt outside, or probably more likely use it as part of our indoor party when we have a kids' party sometime around Halloween. So now I'm going to show you basically how this works. So this is clearly a terrible mock-up. I've just literally got a piece of Perspex, quite thick Perspex. I had to cut it to this shape and I've placed it inside this room. It doesn't work, the effect doesn't work particularly well when it's bright. It's quite light at the minute. I've tried to shut the blinds, but it's still quite light outside. I've literally just taped it in place. If this works, I would glue it in place and it will obviously be better decorated. And the idea is, so you put some sort of furniture, so I put like a chair and a little desk and something as like a little side table in the background there, so it looks from an angle, it doesn't really look very good at the minute because I've literally just mocked it up. But the idea is it gives you this idea, this feeling of you're just looking through into a room, you can see the furniture in the background, and the Perspex isn't really a feature, but that's when the effect gets really interesting. So I've tried to make it as dark in here as I possibly can, and then I've just literally got our iPad, which is too big to be honest, and just got a generic ghost video from YouTube, which is ghost on black background, and you can see that the effect is, even in this rudimentary form, is quite good, because you get the effect of this transparent, semi-transparent thing moving around on the background of the doll's house. You can still see the furniture, you can still see the walls. Yeah, I have no idea what this is, but you kind of get the idea that basically, if it wasn't for the fact you could still see the iPad there and see this tape sort of holding up the piece of plastic, you would get this sort of projected image that the viewer from outside can see. Now, this clearly isn't going to be the finish that I go for, and nor is this the video that I would use. I would try probably to make my own black background ghostly image of some description, and probably use a smaller tablet. So I'd borrow maybe a smaller tablet and possibly cut a hole out in the floor of this doll's house so that the tablet is mounted beneath, so it's not so you can't see it basically, because that's the biggest problem here, is from the viewpoint of someone looking in, you can obviously see the iPad here projecting the image up onto the thing, and it kind of takes away the illusion. So what I'd have to do is try and find a way of mounting this in such a way that you no longer see the iPad. I mean, even that's a little bit better, because you can't see the image, but you can still see the projection. So there are different ways of doing this. But yeah, you get the idea. You get what I'm trying to achieve. So I know that's really haphazard and not really very good looking right there, but you kind of, I think, get the idea of what I'm going for. I love this effect, and when it's done well and properly, it looks so good. The first step is to decorate the house. We need to turn this really not very good looking doll's house into a haunted house of spectacular proportion, and then it would be really good if that particular room, I think, that or the attic, I haven't made my mind up, was able to have this Pepper's Ghost effect. Like I say, I think with a smaller tablet, so it isn't taking up as much of the floor space, or angled a slightly different way so you can't actually see it. Or like I say, I think the idea I wanted to go for was I was actually going to cut a hole out in the floor and mount it beneath the floor and then maybe put something along the front of the room, I don't know, like another piece of furniture, say, that kind of obscures the viewer's view of the screen. And I think then we will get this really cool effect that people will be kind of looking at going, how are they doing that? That's really cool. This little ghostly image moving around. And I think as well what might be kind of fun to try and do is to create our own ghostly image. They were clearly just ghostly images I found randomly on YouTube that I wouldn't use. I would maybe try and create our own, maybe get Ella to dress up as a little ghost girl, maybe me sort of moving about as well, and get them on a loop so they just continually move through that room. I don't know, it could be really interesting, really fun. It might even be interesting to see if we can get one of us to look like we're sitting on a piece of furniture or something in the room. I think that would be really good, really funny. Anyway guys, this is just one of many projects I've got planned for this year. This was just the one that keeps on messing with my head and making me want to do something now. So I think in the Easter holidays, that's when we're gonna start decorating this doll's house and making it look more like a haunted house. Just as our first little nibble into Halloween, the first small project of Halloween itself, because I've got much larger things thinking ahead that I wanna do later on in the year. I think I've rejected the idea of a spooky witch's tower, and I kind of like more the idea of a swamp witch hut. I'm kind of thinking. I've seen a lot of people do these swamp huts and a witch on a porch kind of thing. I kind of think I like that look better, having thought about it. But I don't know. It's all just jumbling around in my head at the minute. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you in the next one. Keep it spooky. Bye.